Broadcasting from Meredith Hall Studios, you're listening to Covering the Field Sports Show, featuring sports analysts Big Rich Martin, Rockin, Ronnie McKinnon, Gator Gates. And now here's your host, Joe the Answer Ellison.
Welcome to the show, everyone. My first guest is our football expert, Big Richard Martin. How are you feeling today?
Doing great, Joe. Thanks for having me on the show.
Big Rich, the big news last week in the National Football League was Cleveland trading quarterback Baker Mayfield to Carolina. Was that a good move?
Well, it's good for Baker Mayfield. I mean, he was sitting at the dog pound with no home for how long? He finally found a home in Carolina. He's going to go with the Cats in Carolina, and I think it's a great move for Carolina. I mean, they're only eating $4 million of his $18 million contract. Cleveland is sucking up the other $10 million. It's something that they had to do in Cleveland since they went all in on Deshaun Watson.
So what are your thoughts about Sam Darnold?
Well, Sam Darnold, we just go back right now. The Panthers have 3 first-round picks from the 2018 draft. They have Baker Mayfield, who went 1, Sam Darnold, who went 3, and DJ Moore, that went 24. So if that was a good draft class, I think the Panthers have a good way to go. And they had a dismal season last year. They were 5-12, started out pretty hot, and then they tankered at the end. And right now, they have such a crowded quarterback room. You have Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. They drafted Matt Carroll in the 3rd round. And then they had P.J. Walker that played a couple games and actually looked all right. But I think he's going to be the odd man out.
I'm thinking he will be out. I'm thinking Mayfield is an improvement over Sam Darnold. I don't know why anyone would draft a USC quarterback anyway. They never seem to pan out. Mark Sanchez did get to 2 AFC championship games. It wasn't really about him, though, those Jets teams. And before him, you have to go back to Carson Palmer to find a USC quarterback that was worth the darn.
Okay, well, I think the guys from Troy definitely should be drafting better now that they have their new coach, your Oklahoma coach. And I think they'll recruit a lot better out of the Southern California area.
Yeah, I think things will change now, for sure. Mayfield, I'll give him credit. He played hurt last year. And I will say the Panthers play Cleveland in week 1.
And he still tackles better than Deion Sanders. That was a great tackle he had. He did dislocate his shoulder doing it. Not very smart for your franchise quarterback. But he did tackle pretty well, and he showed toughness and grit. He did give Cleveland their first playoff win. And so, there's some good things. They were almost Kansas City. They had that game in the bag. They could have been on their way to the Super Bowl. And then all of a sudden, you want to get Deshaun Watson on your team, and I just think that's a really risky move from Cleveland. Cleveland has, historically made bad decisions, and I think this is just another one of them.
Well, we'll see for sure because he's certainly a great player on the field, or he has been in the past. But we don't know how much trouble he's going to get into in Cleveland also. I will say the Panthers play Cleveland in week 1. I'm expecting Mayfield to start in that game. Although I hear otherwise from certain pundits here or there thinking Darnold's going to start, and I just don't see that.
Well, it's supposed to be an open competition. No number 1 quarterback has been named yet for the Panthers.
Yeah, well, you're going to see both quarterbacks during the season. Okay. For sure.
We saw 4 from there last year, so I'm sure it'll be the same thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the big thing is who's going to wear number 6, Joe?
They both wear number 6?
No, number 6 is the punter, Johnny Hecker, who came from the Rams last year. He had 6, so Baker Mayfield took a little bit of that Cleveland cash, and he bought the jersey from him.
I was going to say, that shouldn't take too much money, right? Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
To buy that number off of a punter?
Punter
needs some money, too.
He's been number 6 ever since Oklahoma, so he wanted to keep his number 6. So he did pay for it. And, this gets us into what we're going to have to be doing next, Joe. It's football season.
Well, it is football season. I was going to say, needless to say, neither Mayfield nor Darnold is in anyone's top 10 list of NFL quarterbacks. As we look forward to the season, Big Rich, who's in your top 10?
Well, this is what we call our Joe and Big Rich super picks for the fantasy football top 10. So let's go through my top 10, your top 10. How's that sound?
You go first.
Okay.
You're the guest.
Well, first of all, I'm definitely going to try the segment we're going to call Sink Joe. Okay? So swim or sink, Joe.
No.
Josh Allen has more regular season touchdowns than Tom Brady postseason touchdowns.
Well, No, I'll say Tom Brady has more postseason touchdowns. I'm going Sink on that one. He's been in so many postseason games.
Joe, we're swimming with Josh Allen.
Uh-oh.
He has 107 touchdowns in the regular season. He's done that in 61 games since he's been up with Buffalo. And Tom Brady has 47 postseason games for 86. So Josh Allen has more touchdowns.
Only 47, huh? I would have thought it would have been more. So I'm going to assume Josh Allen and Tom Brady are on your list.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay, well, I'm going to start with number 10, Derek Carr.
Can you start at the top, please?
Okay, well, we'll start at the top.
Let's start at the top.
Okay, so let's swim. Let's don't swing.
I want to hear who your best quarterback is.
Okay, I'm going to have to go against our producer, Justin Herbert. With San Diego, I think he's improved every year, or LA Chargers. I think he improves again this year. The AFC West is just going to be flying. They're going to be throwing the football all around down there. In LA, Justin Herbert, my number 1.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty bold. Go on.
All right, number 2, Josh Allen. Josh Allen's he's predicted in most NFL fantasy drafts right now to be the first quarterback taken off the board. But I think that when we come down to it, I think Justin Herbert will have the equal numbers, and he's getting all of his receiving core back. And I think that Josh Allen, I think they're going to play to win. They're not going to play they're going to be ahead of the games. So I think his fantasy numbers might suffer just a little bit because they're going to try to play from in front because they have a better defense.
So you took it with the approach of fantasy football.
Exactly.
Not exactly like who exactly you'd want on your team leading you to the Super Bowl top 10 quarterback.
Okay, yeah. This is the fantasy
football kind of angle
of it.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
I think you can't go wrong with either one of those guys leading your team. I think you have a good chance of winning. My number 3, Patrick, my main man, Holmes. I love him down in Kansas City, even though Tyreek Hill is off to Miami and better places. I think that he still has enough offense there, and he's one of the prime football players. Patrick Mahomes, number 3. Number 4, Tom Terrific Brady. Mm-hmm. You put him, I have Matt Stafford as number 5. And number 4, last year, Tom Brady had 5,316 yards passing with 43 touchdowns. Edging Matt Stafford with 4,866 with 41 touchdowns. And the thing about Matt Stafford, who might make another leap up because he has not been this good since 2011 when he had Megatron out there catching the football for him, Johnson out there. Yeah, Calvin Johnson, and that was his best year when he had 5,668 with 41 touchdowns also. So he's equaling his numbers when he was really good in Detroit. Number 6, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, number 6, he takes a step back. He lost his number 1 target out there and as the wide receivers go. And then number 7, Russell the Muscle Wilson. All right, we love Russell. We love him in Denver. They're already putting statues out in front of the Mile High. He's going to be doing great with all that receiving core that he does have out there, all the talent they have. They have a good defense, and I think Russell the Muscle, as you can do some fantasy mock drafts right now, you can probably pick Russell up in the 6th or 7th round. And number 8, I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson. I think that he is having some contract issues right now. His mom is in deep contracts with management, trying to get her son paid, and I think he goes number 8. 2019 was our MVP champion. So I would say he's going to be up there. Number 9, Big Joe Burrow from Cincinnati. I think he had a great sophomore season last year, continues to get better. Has great receiving core out there. If they could just keep him upright and keep the grass stains off his back of his jersey, he should have another outstanding season. And as I said before, Derek Carr, number 10, the Raiders, the West is going to be crazy this year. The fireworks, a lot of touchdowns out there in Las Vegas. And that's Big Rich's top 10.
Well, everybody's list is going to be different, of course. I didn't really go on the fantasy football angle on this. I went like, who's going to lead you to the promised land, kind of who's the best quarterback.
Okay.
I'm going to go Rodgers 1. I'm going to go Brady 2. Allen 3. Mahomes 4. Burrow 5. Wilson 6. Herbert 7. We both had all 7 of those guys.
Right.
You did fail to mention number 8, Dak Prescott, which didn't make your list. And I'm very surprised by that. Looking at his stats, I will throw some numbers at you a little bit. I was assuming you might not have him on your list.
Okay, so let's hear your argument, Joe.
What team led the league in points per game last year? Dallas Cowboys. Okay. Yes, they did. Okay. 2 years ago, when he broke his ankle, he was averaging 371 yards per game passing, which would have been an NFL record. He did come back a little slow last year, recovering from that leg injury. I am expecting better things this year, and his record 53-32 as a starter, which is pretty solid. They did lead the league last year in penalties, which they need to clean that up, and they might actually improve the team even more. But that's on Coach McCarthy, which I could very well see gone by the end of the year.
Yeah, and if he's gone, I don't see Dak Prescott putting up the numbers you're saying right now.
Yeah. 9, I had to put Deshaun Watson, just going by the way he played the last year he actually played on a 4-12 team. He led the league in passing.
But that's when he was getting a massage every game. So, I mean, he's not going to get these massages out there in Cleveland. I mean, I don't know how he can perform as well.
I don't know either, but we're going to find out. In 10, I just tied everybody up. Derek Carr, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Matt Ryan, and Matthew Stafford. I know you like Stafford, but 2 years ago he was basically nothing in Detroit. He ends up on the Rams, and he's great, and now he's actually a year older. Had I pictured, let's say, Dak Prescott on the Rams, could they have even been even better? I would say yes. And
well, better than being Super Bowl champions?
Well, I mean, yeah.
Oh, well, I mean,
winning the Super Bowl by like about 2 touchdowns.
Oh, then yeah, they would have covered. Yeah,
they would have covered the spread. But that's just me on that.
Do you have a sleeper, Joe?
No sleepers. Matt Ryan, I'd say, is a sleeper.
Absolutely.
I don't think anybody's putting him on the list. And now he's going to be on a much better team this year.
Yes. And I'm going to put Tua Tagovailoa in there. I think Tua, you have to come up. I think he's a sleeper pick. Great, actually, for your fantasy team. You can get him lower in your drafts. I think he's going to be really good. You can handcuff him with one of these other guys up top and play your matchups. I think that'd be really good.
A lot of people would find Derek Carr to be a sleeper, I guess. And it wouldn't be on a lot of people's top 10 lists, but he certainly has the stats.
And he certainly has the receiver. Devontae Adams is coming as his college roommate.
Okay. Well, there was, moving on, there was some sad news to report last week. What was that?
The Big Ten tries to flex and match the SEC. They took UCLA and USC, the number 1 jewels of the Pac-10, and they take them and put them in the Big Ten.
Is that official?
It is official. It was voted, and it's official.
Wow. Okay. That's going to be
So they
amazing.
have to match the SEC. You see, now we have 2 power divisions. The Big 12 continues to slump down. I just think that it's just sad, I think, because I like, being from California and being raised there, Southern Cal. It was always the Pac-12 since 1920s when they became the Pac-12. Actually, they were the Pacific Coast PPC at the beginning, and then they moved it to the Pac-12. And then 2028, that's when UCLA joined the Pac-12 or Pac-10 then.
That seems pretty crazy to me. Here you go, all the way from USC and UCLA all the way to Rutgers, which is in New Jersey
or Maryland. Yes.
I mean, playing football, basketball, okay, I can understand it, but we're going to have to play other sports like softball and volleyball. I mean, it's just not going to make any sense to be traveling all over the country to play some of these smaller, fringe, non-money-making sports.
Well, especially basketball, I think it'll be a big change in NCAA basketball when you have UCLA playing 2 times a year against Michigan State.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's strictly for football. I mean, isn't every decision for football? And the last time a Pac-12 team actually made the 4-team college football playoff, 2016. So the Pac-12 is not really where you want to be.
That was what, Oregon?
It was Washington or Oregon?
Washington.
I think it was Washington, actually. Well, great work, Big Rich. Thanks.
All right, we'll look forward to next week. We'll have our top 10 running backs.
All right. Coming up to bat now is our baseball correspondent, Rockin' Ronnie McKinnon. How's it going?
Joe, I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Ronnie, what's this week's news in Major League Baseball? Let's start with the amazing Shohei Ohtani.
I know. We talk about him all the time, and for good reason. He's won 5 in a row now pitching. He pitched last Wednesday night after our show. 7 innings, 1 unearned run, 2 hits, 10 strikeouts. He had 3 walks. He retired 15 in a row at one point. And the guy, amazing. His scoreless inning streak ended at 21 2/3 innings. And he has not allowed an earned run in 28 2/3 innings. He also drove the game winner home and 1 for 4, 1 run scored, 2 RBIs and a walk. He's now got 53 RBIs, and it's crazy, man. He's the first player since the RBIs became official in 1920 to record 10 strikeouts as a pitcher, 2 RBIs as a batter, and a stolen base, all in a single game. Of course, how many other people actually, pitch and hit?
It's been a long time.
But yeah, Babe Ruth was a big one, for sure. Anyway, 8th major leaguer since the earned runs were official, which was 1913, to record 40 plus strikeouts and no earned runs in a 4-start span. So pretty amazing. Kershaw's done it twice. Matt Scherzer has done it once.
All right. How about Aaron Judge?
Aaron Judge, versus Pittsburgh, he hit a home run milestone marker. He hit his 30th home run. It tied Alex Rodriguez from 2007 and himself from 2017 for the second most home runs before the All-Star break in Yankee history. Roger Maris had 33 in 1961 and actually hit 61 runs in 1961, which was a record for quite a few years. Babe Ruth had hit...
It's the record for guys who haven't done performance-enhancing drugs.
That's right, exactly, right.
And it continues to be.
That's right. 1933 was actually the first All-Star game. Babe Ruth had hit 32 in 3 seasons, 1921, 28, and 30. And the third player in American League history with multiple seasons of 30 or more home runs before the All-Star break. Yeah. Ken Griffey Jr. did it 3 times, 94, 97, 98. Mark McGwire, another steroid situation, did it in 87 and 97. And of course, not a big deal, but the American League played 162 games in 1961, where the National League only played 154 before they both went to 162. So, those things are all like little maybe asterisks with stats and such. So
yeah, Aaron Judge, pretty amazing. He's from Linden, California, which is where in California?
Linden, California. I've heard of it, but I'm not sure.
10 miles east of Stockton.
There you go.
A beautiful place.
That's why, because who the hell wants to go to Stockton?
Right. Nobody wants. But you might want to go to Linden. It's nicer.
Run through it real quick. Drive real fast through those areas.
Been through there many, many, many times. Actually.
They're just
And what did Clayton Kershaw do?
Clayton Kershaw. He actually Saturday he pitched 7 2/3 innings, 10 strikeouts, no walks, 5 hits, 1 earned run. He actually threw 102 pitches, which is unusual for him to but he's feeling good, which is a good sign.
It's unusual for any pitcher right now.
Well, yeah.
But it's a wonder he didn't get injured again.
That's right.
And then they complained, why is he pitching so much?
That's right. And I guess he's feeling really good. I saw an interview, read an article about him. He's feeling really good. They won that game 4-2. He's actually 6-2 with a 2.40 ERA. The guy's still amazing when he's feeling good. He's great, and when he's not, he never has ever made an excuse about it, which I've always really admired. So anyway,
so what's the story with Robbie Grossman?
Robbie Grossman, he this is the longest in Major League Baseball history that he went 440 games. He's an outfielder without making an error.
Yes, 440 consecutive games.
440 games, that's right.
Yep.
It was snapped on Sunday on a little fly ball that he came in a ways for, but it hit his glove and it popped out. And he even said, man, come on, it hit my glove. I should have caught it.
Well, what did you think?
No excuses. Well, the wind was blowing.
So
the wind can make a difference.
Would you have called that a hit or an error?
When it hits your glove, I mean, it's not like he dove for the ball. He did run a ways for it. I mean, if you dive and it hits your glove and falls out, yeah. I mean, but when it hits your glove, they're going to give you an error. I mean, it was in the glove and came out, and he was just like, wow, he can't, he couldn't believe, that happened either. He didn't blame it on the wind or anything, which was really cool.
Yes. The saddest part of the story, Robbie Grossman, a former Oakland A player. Unfortunately, another one on the big list of excellent players.
And I don't think I mention he's a Detroit Tiger.
Yeah,
actually.
And he's no longer playing on my favorite team. But anyway, what is the latest milestone in Albert Pujols' illustrious career?
Man, happens a lot, doesn't it? He hit a double, and that passed him over Stan Musial, which, he was amazing player. The most accomplished player in Cardinal history, and he had 1,378 extra base hits in his career. Third place all time behind Henry Aaron and another big steroid guy, Barry Bonds.
Yeah. So when he's passing Stan Musial in these records, we have to factor in the fact he played 11 years with the Los Angeles Angels and Dodgers too, right? So
that's exactly right.
Had he stayed in
he played for the Angels for 11, right? And the Dodgers for 1.
Yeah.
10 or 11.
I'm thinking.
And 10 and 1 with the Dodgers. Yeah, now he's back with the Cardinals. And
had he stayed with the Cardinals, how many more Cardinal records he would have?
Well, yeah, and last night, the Dodgers just went to St. Louis to play them. They lost 7-6, and Pujols first at bat hit a home run against the Dodgers, right?
Yeah.
So, and he's got 684, only 16 away from 700, and an amazing player, and been around for a long time, and
that's the 5th most ever, and he's never been associated with performance-enhancing drugs.
That's right.
So
that's exactly right.
Okay.
Yes.
How is Max Scherzer doing now that he has returned from injury?
He came back from injury, 7 innings pitched. Monday night, 3 hits and a run, no walks, 9 strikeouts, and a 4-1 win over the Braves, who are still trying to catch the Mets. They've gotten closer. They lost earlier today to the Mets, so they dropped another game back. But he's got a 0.69 ERA in the 2 outings since he returned from the injured list, so I guess he's feeling good.
Yeah, seems like it. How about Miguel Cabrera?
Yeah, Miguel. He's been around a long time, and they picked him and Pujols to be what they call legacy picks for the All-Star game. Miguel Cabrera, he's hitting 289, right? But last night he moved into 16th all-time. He's a DH for Detroit. 16th all-time in RBIs. He passed Ken Griffey Jr., one of my all-time favorite players, and he has now 1,839, and of course still going, so he can. The next guy up to pass is Ted Williams, probably the greatest hitter in the history of the game.
I would say he was the greatest hitter of all times. Okay, and I heard just recently Toronto shook things up a little bit.
Just earlier today, this morning, Toronto Blue Jay manager Charlie Montoya. He's been there since 2018. He was relieved of his duties as the bench coach. They're just not doing what a lot of people thought they would do. There's still plenty of time. But they named John Schneider as the interim manager. He was the coach, and the AAA Buffalo manager, Casey Kelly, is the interim bench coach. So, last year he went 91-71, Montoya, the manager. And they were splitting home games too between how do you pronounce this? Dunedin, Florida, Florida, and Buffalo, New York, and Toronto. So they were splitting all their home games in between those 3 places, and that was due to COVID-19 and also the Canada travel rules at the time. So,
you still can't play in Toronto if you haven't been vaccinated.
Right, and all of a sudden I was hearing this morning, I guess, another strain is going around everywhere. So
of course.
what a shocker, right?
Wow.
Anyway, he was signed through 2023, and of course, I still got to pay him. But he ended up 236 and 236, 236 wins and 236 losses.
Well, you can't call him a loser.
While he was in Toronto. Now, I think, somebody has to answer for them not doing as well, and it's usually the manager. I think he's a good manager. I think he'll find another spot.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at the standings. Which teams are hot or cold? Let's start in the American League.
American League, the Yankees, actually, they've lost 3 in a row going into today. They still lead all of baseball in runs scored, the least runs allowed, and the runs differential. The Dodgers are in second in those categories, first in the National League and second overall. The Yankees, it's crazy though, the Baltimore Orioles, 9 straight, 44 and 44. They're at 500 ball. They are only a couple games behind Toronto, Boston, and Tampa Bay, which ranges from 14 to 17 games out of first place behind the Yankees, because the Yankees have such a great record at 61 and 26. But Baltimore is like, oh man, they're playing so good. It's good to see. I was a big fan of them way back in the day, and I won't go through naming all the players, but
sure.
I was a big fan.
Let's just say the 70s. Back then, they were pretty good.
Yeah, and when I was a kid, the first baseball glove my dad bought me, and I was an infielder, not a third baseman like Brooks Robinson, but was a Brooks Robinson Rawlings signed glove, and
sure.
But yeah, Baltimore, it's really great to see them doing the 9-game winning streak right now.
Yeah, that's the best division in baseball by far.
Well, it's the only division, obviously, with all the teams that are 500 or above. Baltimore just getting to the 500 spot last night, and they're still playing later. So we'll see what happens with that. The Central, right? Minnesota, then Cleveland.
Yeah,
the White Sox.
It appears only one team is going to come out of that division.
Yeah, it's sad because I expected a lot more out of the White Sox, like a lot of people expected more out of Toronto. There's still time.
Yeah.
The White Sox had tremendous amount of injuries from the get-go. They're starting to get everybody kind of back. I expect them to. They still have a good shot at winning that division. They're only 5.5 out, and so we'll see what happens there.
In the West, looks like
the West, Houston still, 57-29, but Seattle, they won earlier today. They're 12 back still, but they're 46 and 42, 4 games above because they've won 8 straight. So I think I did, and a lot of people thought Seattle would be do something this year, and they're starting to do it. Of course, the Angels. Wow, even since getting rid of the manager, they're just 12 games below 500, and I expected more out of them, and it's kind of sad. And there's still time there too, so we'll see.
Of course. How about the National League? Who should we be looking at?
The Mets are still. They won again earlier today. They beat Atlanta, who's been trying to catch them. Atlanta is 2.5 back in second, then Philadelphia, Miami, and Washington. And in the Central, we have Milwaukee and St. Louis are battling for that division lead, and Milwaukee lost earlier today. St. Louis a 1.5 out. Then we have Pittsburgh, Chicago, and Cincinnati. Cincinnati started at 3-22. They are now 33-54. They're playing a lot better. Obviously, still 21 games below 500, but actually only a game back of the Cubs for 4th place in that division. And it's just good to see them, come back and play better. We go to the West. The Dodgers have taken a lot bigger lead since we talked last week. They lost last night, but San Diego did. They're 7.5 back, San Diego. The Giants have fallen to 12 back. It was 13 when they won last night and the Dodgers lost. So then you have Arizona and Colorado. They're both 10 games below 500, but now they're tied for 4th at 39 and 49 and 18 back. So again, earlier today, the Mets already beat the Braves. Seattle already beat the Washington Nationals. Minnesota already beat Milwaukee. Kansas City already beat Detroit. And there's games going on now and into the evening.
Do you have any predictions for this week's?
I don't yet. Last week I was 3-3. This week I did not do any for now. I'll put some on the site, and we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, we'll check that out on the website then.
Cool.
Ronnie, the All-Star break begins Monday in Los Angeles with the Home Run Derby. Do you have a pick as to who will win that competition?
Yeah, well, who's won the last 2 years in a row, right?
Pete Alonso.
From the Mets, exactly. I'm not going for him. I think Ohtani's in there too, right?
Ohtani's in there. I think Pujols is in there.
Pujols, there's still guys entering. I didn't get a list of them right there, but it ought to be. It's always kind of fun to watch, right?
I don't see how you can go against a guy who's just won it 2 times in a row.
Yeah, I've got to pick
Pete Alonso.
I guess I just don't like the Mets, right? Is that it?
Maybe that's the problem.
That could be it.
Is that why we're always talking about the Dodgers every week?
Well, no, hey, I talk about a lot of other teams that are doing well.
I know.
And I always also talk about when the Dodgers suck. And
I hear you.
So
I'm
a Yankee fan, but I just never been a Met fan. So
Alonso will be the favorite for sure. And
of course,
we'll see how they go.
We have the starting lineups already for the teams. I don't need to go through every guy.
Tuesday's the All-Star game.
But
I want to ask you if there are any players you felt were snubbed, deserving of being included, and you thought should have been there, or maybe somebody that doesn't belong.
Well, I don't think Soto from Washington should be there. I mean, yeah, he's a great player, but what's he doing now? I think last time I looked, he's batting 220 or 30. I don't know. I don't think guys like that should be in there.
I think you have to have one player from each team, though, right?
Every year it happens, and I don't know if that's still a rule.
Yeah,
is that still a rule?
That means Oakland has to have a player too. And
I didn't go through all the reserves and all the other. There's
got to be one player deserving, and he'll be traded very soon to a better team.
Yeah, the Yankees and the Angels have 2 starters each, and of course the Angels aren't doing too well, but Trout's in there again and should be, I think.
Ohtani, of course,
he's slumping a little lately, and Ohtani. The Yankees actually have 3 pitchers. The National League, the Dodgers have 2 starters in there to start the game, and LA and Milwaukee both have 2 pitchers each on the All-Star team. So the AL actually has an extra pitcher and a reserve, and that's because Ohtani is considered a DH and a pitcher, and that's that reason. Albert Pujols and Miguel Cabrera, they're All-Star Legacy picks. And this All-Star Legacy thing in LA, it's a project that will benefit children, military veterans, and underserved communities in the greater LA area. The Dodgers have put out $6 million for that. So
great, that's fantastic.
Cool.
As for the game itself, what is your prediction?
Well, I think the National League's going to win this year.
That'd be a surprise. Why would you say that?
I'm just feeling all together about the players and the pitching, and I just kind of feel like they're going to win, and not just because they're at Dodger Stadium, which is a great venue, but it's like and I don't always go for the National League, but I really think they're going to win this year. So,
all right. Well, I'm going to give you a little history. The results have been very streaky, as well you probably know. From 1988 to 93, the American League won every game. Then the National League won 3 in a row. From 1987 to 2009, the American League won each game again, except for the infamous tie in 2002. Right. And then the National League again won 3 in a row. And now the American League has won every game since 2013.
And what's the total, Joe?
I don't know what the total is yet, but
I think it's actually
I've got to take the American
it's
League.
Pretty close. Yeah, altogether.
The total you mean overall?
Right.
Oh, I'm sure it's much more even than that.
It is. Yeah. And also when you brought up 2002, that's interesting because that was the year the Angels beat the Giants in the World Series, and the Giants tried to win one. The Angels,
the rally monkey,
huh?
The rally monkey,
exactly. And I'll never forget that. I was in Tahoe, living in Tahoe at the time, and had a bunch of money, and I left and took the dog, and I'm like, oh God, the Giants are gonna win this thing, and came back, and my wife was like, Ronnie, look what happened, and then the Angels ended up winning the whole thing. So,
well, I've got to take the American League again. When a team has won like 8, 9 in a row, I'm not going to jump off that bandwagon right now.
Right, that's interesting. Our producer just showed me something there. All together, the AL leads the series with 46, and the NL has 43. So
Pretty damn close.
That's pretty damn close.
Okay. As for the actual total in the game, I'm hoping for an over and under of at least 8. Starting from 2008, only 2 All-Star games have scored more than 8 runs. So I'm going to bet the under, but I'd love a total of 8.
Yeah, I think. Well, the pitching's going to be great,
Yes.
but there's some hitters going on in that thing too, and that's kind of that's probably the right number to be over or under.
And obviously, there's going to be a DH for both teams.
Correct.
So it'll be a little higher than maybe other years. Might have been a 7.5.
Yeah, but that's figured into that when
Right.
that spread there. So
Terrific work, Ronnie. Thank
so,
you.
Thanks for having me.
Our final guest in covering a number of sports is Gator Gates. How are you doing today?
Oh, it's hot outside, Joe, but I'm doing excellent.
Yes, it's not too bad in here. Still kind of warm. Gator in NASCAR. What happened last week at Atlanta?
Well, there's always so much action at this race, Joe. We had 12 different leaders, but the outcome of the race started with 3 laps left. Corey LaJoie was looking to win his first Cup race as he led the field to the green flag for the restart. Then, as they crossed the start-finish line for 2 laps left, Eric Jones helped push Chase Elliott past Corey LaJoie. And then, while the white flag was waving, Corey was looking to repass Elliott again at the same place that Chase passed him. But this time, Elliott blocked LaJoie up high and Corey ran out of room and hit the wall. But Ross Chastain was also looking to make a move, and when it looked like he was getting close enough to make that move, the yellow came out. So that gave Elliott at 10-1 his 3rd win of the year. Ross Chastain received 2nd, and that gave Chevy at a -120 1st and 2nd. The top Ford was 3rd with Austin Cindric, and Toyota had a rough day with Truex finishing in 11th.
Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks in a row for Toyotas not doing well. LaJoie would have been an amazing story. He was 200-1.
Yeah, that'd be an excellent story.
But at least he got close. Now he might not be 200-1 next week. I'm going to have to check into that. This Sunday's race is at Loudon, New Hampshire. Who do you like?
Okay, Joe. Eric Almirola won last year, and he's a Ford. Chevy is favored at 8-5, and Ford is at 2-1. And I kind of like Blaney at 9-1, Joe. But the one that's really sticking out in my head is Brad Keselowski at 75-1. Joe, the Fords had 4 out of the top 5 finishers last year.
Yeah, it's hard to believe Keselowski at 75-1 in the last 3 years. I mean, I don't think he's ever been 75-1. This is
No, and I think
really
he can
bad
really
year.
do good at this track. I'm not saying he's exactly going to win it, but I think you have to look at it.
He's won it on this track before.
Yeah,
So you never know.
you never know.
Okay. Gator, how did last Sunday's Formula One race in Austria end up?
Okay, well, in turn 4 on the first lap, George Russell's Mercedes was on the inside of the corner when he made contact with Sergio Perez's Red Bull and spun him out. That did drop Sergio to the back of the pack, and then later he had to retire. But George Russell received front wing damage and also had a 5-second penalty handed to him for his part in that wreck. But he did fight his way back, Joe, and he did earn 4th. But the next 50 laps or so, it was all about the tire strategies between Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen. The 2 strategies overlapped each other, and Charles overtook Max on 3 different occasions. Now, Carlos Sainz also looked like he could overtake Max. Ferrari seemed to have a better tire strategy than Red Bull, but on lap 57, as Carlos was getting ready to pass on Max, he had to pull off because a cloud of smoke came out of the back of his car. Now, he did pull off on turn 4, and he had a hard time getting out of the Ferrari that was rolling backwards while it was on fire. But it does seem that Ferrari has a reliability issue with their engines. So Leclerc, he got 1st, Max Verstappen got 2nd, and Hamilton, he got 3rd, Joe. So that wasn't too bad. Yeah.
Starting to improve as the season goes on. 12-5 on Leclerc, not too bad actually in Formula One. Verstappen is going off at minus money usually.
Correct.
So next race will be July 24th in France. We'll make a prediction next week.
Okay, sounds good, Joe.
All right. Shifting over to golf. Gator, starting tonight, Pacific time anyway. golf's final major of the year, the 150th Open Championship, or us as Americans call it, the British Open, at the Birth of Golf in St. Andrews, Scotland. Little trivia. Do you know what year was the first British Open?
I was gonna say like 1970 or 1873.
Yeah, well, 1860. So that's been a long time. And do you know how far back the origins of golf go?
Oh, Joe, no, not really. It's got to be forever.
Yes. St. Andrews, the birth of golf, back in the 1400s.
Okay, that sounds about right to me.
So if you're going to watch a tournament, I think this would be one to definitely watch.
Well, yes, a lot of action.
I love this tournament, St. Andrews especially. Do you have a pick for the tournament, though?
That's hard to pick.
It always is.
I'm going to go with Morikawa. He's 6-1. You got to, we're looking at a European course, not the PGA courses, so it's totally different, and he does really well on those courses, so I'm going to take him.
Yeah. Well, you already know my pick. I always pick Jordan Spieth, so I'm pretty boring when it comes to that. Eventually, he will win another major, I'm thinking. I hope so. Mm-hmm. Tiger Woods is playing. How will he do, you think?
I don't think he's going to make the cut, Joe, but that's me.
Okay. Well, he's not on any of the proposition bets or matchups, so the books aren't expecting a whole lot out of him either. It's going to be totally unpredictable.
Yeah, until he does make a cut. I mean, he's got to prove.
Okay.
He's got to prove he can make a cut.
Gator, how did last weekend's American Century Championship Celebrity Tournament finish? We previewed it last week. That was at Edgewood, up the hill in South Lake Tahoe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, a lot of crowds always up there, Joe. Yeah, it was really interesting this year, Joe. We had a three-way playoff with Romo, Pulowski, and Mark Mulder. The first playoff hole, all three of them tied, but Tony Romo finished. He won on the second playoff hole. Yep.
With this modified Stableford system, Mark Mulder was up 8 points in the final round, had a double bogey. Kind of fell back a little bit. The three guys in the playoff, Mulder, Romo, and Pavelski, that's a baseball player, football player, and hockey player.
That was great to see. Yeah, I like that.
That was cool. Romo won at plus 275. That 62 points that they tied at, that was the lowest score ever for a winner since they switched formats to the Stableford. The over and under was 73.5. So it went way under.
Yeah, sure did.
Yeah. As for Charles Barkley finishing in the top 70, we predicted he would not, and he did not, although he finished in 74th, needing 5 more points to finish 70th. He did much better than I expected, but certainly not.
It's always next year.
Yeah, well, he is improving, no doubt. We should also mention that professionals who didn't qualify for the British Open could very well be at Old Greenwood Course in Truckee, California, very close by to us for the Barracuda Championship. So if you're a real big golf fan of, especially professional, when the golf is over in England, you can go out there and check it out.
Yeah, it's our chance to go out and see it.
Yep. Finally, tennis's third major, the Wimbledon Championships, finished last Sunday at the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club just outside of London. Rafael Nadal, he is gunning for his third straight major. He pulled out with an abdominal injury, allowed Nick Kyrgios to advance against Novak Djokovic, who beat British hope Cameron Norrie. So Gator, what were the results of that?
Okay, well, Friday Novak Djokovic said to expect fireworks for the match. That really wasn't anything to speak of on the court during play. But Nick Kyrgios won the first set in 31 minutes, 6-4. Now, Novak had a hard time reading Nick's serves, but in the second set, Novak started slowing the pace down a little bit and found his rhythm, and he won that second one 6-3, Joe. Then the fireworks started. When Kyrgios surrendered 3 set points, he became frustrated and started chirping at his supporters in the box. During the third set, at one point, turned to his box and said, and I quote, "I don't understand it. Why? I don't get it," unquote. And then he followed that up by saying, and I quote, "I'll hit 130 mile per hour second serve. That's what I'll do," unquote. Well, Joey actually threw down an ace on that his next serve, so we never did get to see the second serve. But he was also given a warning for an audible obscenity during the set. All this was done in front of 8-year-old Prince George, who was sitting with the Duke and Duchesses of Cambridge. Also in the third set, he asked the umpire to remove a spectator, saying that she had 700 beers and was drunk out of her mind. And to top off that third set, he also yelled at his team, saying that, "I can't do anything. Do you guys even care or what? Doesn't feel like it. Do you know how difficult it is to ace a guy 3 times?" Well, Novak won 6-4 in that third set. This continued into the fourth set, and Nick asked his box, "What are you scared for?" So Novak won that one 7-6, Joe.
Yeah, it's very uncomfortable watching Kyrgios play because he can't stop talking, and the fans certainly don't like it. They're very quiet, which is nice. And here you got Kyrgios running around acting like an idiot the whole time. It's very disturbing to watch, although he is a super talented player. So we'll see what happens next time around. He can go to New York. And
I'm sure I'll be talking about him a lot more, too.
Yeah, crowd is going to be a lot rowdier in New York, for sure. So, yes, Djokovic, we predicted. He won his 4th straight Wimbledon. Odds, not so great, no. Minus 105.
But a winner is a winner.
A winner is a winner, yes. So on the women's side, Ons Jabeur beat Tatiana Maria, and Elena Rybakina upset 2019 champion Simona Halep, who was playing amazingly well before that match. That was an upset. What occurred in the final?
Okay, well, Elena led the tournament with 49 aces, Joe, and 19 more than any other woman, and had second fastest serve speed at 122 miles per hour. Coco Gauff had a speed at 124. But in the first set, Elena failed to have any aces, Joe, and the first time this happened the whole tournament. She stayed composed and came back out in the second set as a new person. She had an answer for everything that was coming at her way. With her rank being at 23rd, she becomes the first woman outside the top 20 to win in Wimbledon since Venus Williams in 2007. She does live in Moscow. She was born and raised there, but she has been representing Kazakhstan since 2018. And every time she was asked about her ties with her homeland, she would just say that she was so happy to be representing Kazakhstan. She did get a paycheck for $2.4 million, but didn't receive the 2,000 points that she should have gotten for winning the tournament. And, Joe, that would put her in the top 10 for the next tournament.
Yeah, well, no one's getting any points because what's the significance of all this talk about her being Russian? Russians and Belarusians were not allowed to participate in the tournament because of the invasion of the Ukraine.
No, I know what you're saying, Joe, but I still say she got hosed.
Yes, well, that was the whole idea, was to exclude Russians, and here's a Russian,
right,
who's representing Kazakhstan, but she's still a Russian.
It's ironic. She's Kazakhstan.
Yes, it's ironic that she ends up winning the tournament.
Right.
Yes. Another ironic thing, she was not on any of the sheets before the tournament to bet on. She was 15-1 halfway through the tournament, and I consider that pretty much a ripoff, because if you had bet before the tournament started, you would not have won because she was not available to bet on.
The books could put in a field bet. I don't see why they don't, but they could if they wanted to.
To rip us off, apparently, because the field would have won. You got to be careful about that, I guess. Kind of like the first round draft pick. We had the same problem a couple of months ago, where the guy wasn't even on the sheet until like a week before the draft.
Right. And
he ended up being the first pick of the draft. So, well, excellent job, Gator. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joe. Appreciate you.
You got hosed.
So, Gator, do you have a You Got Hosed story this week?
Yeah, Joe, my host story is the Toyotas in the NASCAR race at Atlanta. Martin Truex, a Toyota, was leading with 14 laps left. That is when Ross Chastain caused his second wreck of the day by tapping the left corner panel of Denny Hamlin's Toyota. Truex led the restart with 8 laps to go. Truex and Corey LaJoie were both battling on the backstretch as another yellow came out when Denny Hamlin again got bumped by, this time, Christopher Bell, trying to squeeze in between him and Joey Logano. That caused all three of them to spin, Joe. So Denny Hamlin led 2 laps and was at a 10-1. Martin Truex was 18-1 and led 27 laps. And the Toyotas were at a plus 325 to win the race. So I say, Joe, if you had Hamlin, Truex, or the Toyotas, you got hosed.
Yeah, and I think Hamlin is losing all his patience with Ross Chastain. That's not the first time he's bumped into him, and I think we're going to see a little retaliation. And maybe
I wouldn't expect anything less.
I wouldn't expect Chastain to win any races soon because he's going to be in a wall pretty soon.
You got a story, Joe?
Well, yeah, Rafael Nadal attempting to win his 3rd major of the year and getting 3/4 of the way to the calendar year Grand Slam. Went off at 6-1 odds at Wimbledon. He gets all the way to the semifinals, and then he pulls out of the tournament with an abdominal injury. As well as he was playing, he easily could have reached the final. Instead, for everyone who bet on him, there is no refund. Simply, in the end, you got hosed.
That was a great you got hosed story, Joe. You're right.
You got hosed.
Well, thanks for listening, and we'll have another show next week.
You've been listening to a Covering the Field sports show. Visit us at coveringthefield.com. Email us your comments, questions, and you got host stories at coveringthefield@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter at coveringfield. Thank you to our junior IT, Caden Martin. Thanks to our assistant to the editorial staff, Boots McCage. We will see you all next time for another episode of Covering the Field.